بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Today it is Tuesday, the 19th of October, 2021. And in our series, Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 266. These days we are looking at the meanings of the words of chapter 2 of the Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 93 of the Holy Quran. And in that sub-series, this is broadcast number 10. These broadcasts are brought to you by the Lahore Ahmadiyya community, which is also known as Ahmadiyya Anjuman Ishayat Islam and the Ahmadiyya movement, etc. And this organization was established by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. And his teaching was that although people say that after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, at least one more prophet can come. The Holy Quran says that the Holy Prophet was Khatmun Nabiyyin, and the Holy Prophet explained that by saying, Ana Khatmun Nabiyyin la Nabiy Abadi. I am Khatmun Nabiyyin and I am the last of the prophets. So Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said, now no prophet can come, whether an old one or a new one. And when the Holy Prophet said these words, La Nabi Abadi, his companions, Raziullah Ta'ala anhum, were disturbed, and they said, O Prophet of Allah, after a prophet passed away in previous ummahs, those ummahs gradually went astray. What will happen to us? And the Holy Prophet said that God will send mujaddideen, reformers, to bring the ummah back to the right path. And of course, that will lead to differences of opinion. And Hazrat pointed out that although people are fond of calling each other heretics and kafirs and out of fold of Islam and all this kind of thing, the Holy Prophet forbade it all, because he said that if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter that you are not a Muslim, that you are a kafir, then it is the person saying it who's closer to kufr, who's closer to being ejected from Islam. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad also said that some people say that Ayah Rajam and Surah Walayat, which was prophetic revelation, but it's missing from the Holy Quran. When Hazrat Sahib said this is untrue, God has said that I have revealed the Quran, and I'm a guardian over it. So how could any prophetic revelation be missing? Similarly, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib pointed out that some people say, not some people, many people say that there are verses in the Holy Quran which have been abrogated, which have been cancelled. But Hazrat Sahib said this is not true. No verse of the Holy Quran was, is, or ever shall be, or can be abrogated. And most importantly, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad said that it is a duty, a fundamental duty of every Muslim to conduct jihad. But jihad as defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, not as made up by people later on. And the Holy Prophet, when he was returning from fighting, said that Muslims were returning from the minor jihad to the major jihad, and then went on to explain that the major jihad is, the real jihad is the jihad bin nafs, that we struggle with our souls, with the temptations in ourselves to do the wrong thing. The envy, pride, greed, hatred, etc. We all know what these things are that we need to struggle against. So, with that, let us turn to verse 93 of Al-Baqarah, as we're going to look at the meanings and the significance of the words used in it. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ أخذنا ميثاقكم ورفعنا فوقكم الطور خذوا ما آتيناكم بقوة واسمعوا قالوا سمعنا وعصينا وأشربوا في قلوبهم العجل بكفرهم قل بئس ما يعمركم به إيمانكم إن كنتم مؤمنين. And when we made a covenant with you, this is the Israelites, and when we made a covenant with you and raised the mountain above you, take hold of that which we have given you with firmness and obey. They said, we hear and disobey. And they were made to imbibe the love of the calf into their hearts on account of their disbelief. Say, evil is that which your faith bids you if you are believers. When we started yesterday, I said we were going to look at the meanings of two words, Ya'murukum and Iya. Minkum, Imanukum. I can't read my own handwriting about what we're going to do. Imanukum. And so let us have a look at um, my notes. So the word that we are looking at, it has two segments. Kum, which is a pronoun, and a noun, iman. And it occurs in the Holy Quran. The words made from this root occur in the Holy Quran 879 times, and in 17 different shapes. So 537 times it's Abana. That takes care of the majority. And 202 times it's Mu'min. So what else is there? 45 times the noun Iman, and 22 times Mu'minat, 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 and 20 times Amina, and 14 times, is there any 22? Yes, 14 times as Amanat, and 10 times as Aminin, and then the rest is once or twice. Well, 6 times it's Mu'minat. So let us have a look and see what my notes tell me about this root. So Hamza Mim Noon, Al Amnu, and its basic meaning, fundamental meaning, is to be contented or satisfied. And some dictionaries say that in fact 3 words, Amnun, Amanatun, and Amanun, they're all roots. And you notice the fact that up till now we've been saying the 3-letter, the triliteral root is like this one, Hamza Mim Noon. And the first one I mentioned, Hamza Mim Noon, Amnun. But you notice the fact that Amanun, that has Hamza, Mim, Hamza again, and Noon. So you can see that this is 4 letters. So there are some Arabic words which have 4, some even 5-letter roots, but they're very few. In fact, a few broadcasts ago, we saw the fact that there was a 2-letter word and the root was 3 letters. So anyway, Aman also means peace, security. Those of you who know Urdu would know that in movies, old sort of historical dramas, some messenger would go to the king and with bad news, and the first thing he would say is, "Jaan ki aman paun to aras karta hu." And the king says, "Yes." So he's saying, if my safety is guaranteed, you're not going to cut my head off for bringing you bad news. So, and the Quran also tells us, "Watakhunu ama natikum," chapter 8, verse 27. The things which have been entrusted to you, things which have been given in your charge. If I'm going somewhere and, I say to my friend, here are the keys to my car in case you need to move it for some reason. That doesn't mean to say that he can sell it or, take it out to racing or whatever. So God says, don't misuse the things over which have been entrusted to you. Don't be dishonest. But if you combine that with another verse, which is later on, chapter 33, verse 72, Inna aradnal amanata ala samawati wal ard. We entrusted this burden to heavens and earth. But they shrugged. The responsibility. They said, it's too heavy. We can't bear it. But of course, the old human beings, being arrogant, they said, fine, I'll accept this burden, and I'll look after it. So let's take the two verses together. Watahunu amanatikum, chapter 8, verse 27, and inna aradnal amanata alasamawati wal ard. Things entrusted to you, given to you in trust, don't use them dishonestly. And the other one, that I presented this burden to the heavens and the earth, and they shrugged away. They said, no, this burden is too heavy. So what is it that God entrusted to us? He entrusted this earth and all its bounties to us. Clean air, clean water, and thousands of other things. But did we look after them? Did we safeguard them? As said in the other verse that I recited, that the things over which you are appointed a guardian, what does a guardian do? He guards those things. But have we been guarding those things? No, we haven't. We have misused all the resources that were available. All the resources. We have polluted air. We have polluted water. There was a time when we read in books that people would go to the river and drink straight from the river. Animals would do that. Humans would do that. Why? Because the water was clean and pure. But can we do that now? Well, we can if you want to kill ourselves. If you want to kill yourself by drinking poison, you needn't bother to go to a shop and spend money buying something. All you got to do is go down to some river and drink a couple of glasses of water from it. That'll surely do the job. Is this the water that God created? So polluted, so harmful? Ask yourself this: if that water is so bad for you, is it going to be okay? Is it going to be okay for other living things, such as crops? It'll seep into the soil. And if it's got pollutants in it, it'll pollute the soil. It'll make that soil poisonous. There was that famous incident at Chernobyl. A nuclear power plant exploded. And radiation went up into the air. And some months later, they found some of the milk being taken in Wales was radioactive. Where is Chernobyl? It's not in Wales. It's in Russia, near Turkey. And all that radiation, when that nuclear power plant exploded, was carried by air to Wales. Not all the radiation, obviously. Some of it polluted other countries on the way. Some managed to make its way to Wales. And then it rained. And that radiation came down with the rain. And that rain was absorbed by the earth. And the grass grew in that earth. And that grass absorbed that radiation. And then the cows grazed on that grass. And they ate that radioactive grass. And the milk that they produced was radioactive. People are amazed by this. Now apply this thing everywhere. And you can see how we violated this verse of the Holy Quran, that the things over which you are made a guardian, protect those things. And God made us, God says, I offered this burden, and the heavens and the earth said this burden is too much. But human beings said, no, that's fine. I accept this burden. But having accepted it, he then proceeded to destroy what God had created. This is one example that I gave about how human beings are upsetting the balance, the delicate balance that nature created. Atmosphere, air is supposed to have a certain percentage, a certain proportion of carbon dioxide. And we've disturbed that. How? By cars pumping out carbon dioxide from their exhausts, and the chimneys, the factories from their chimneys, the homes from their chimneys where coal is burnt or gas is burnt and so on, and gas boilers and whatever. That has, let's follow this, that has changed the balance of carbon dioxide in air. And what that means is that air can retain more heat. So the air has become warmer. Now, that means that warm air is melting the ice at North Pole and South Pole. That ice consists of pure water. Well, let's go with the easy thing first, actually. So that water, that melted ice, is being added to the seas. So sea levels are rising. And if you don't stop it and don't control it, one day Mauritius is going to disappear under the sea level. Sea is going to rise and come all the way up to the Thames barrier. Most of Bangladesh will disappear. So land, dry land that humans need to survive, to build schools and homes for people to live in, that would disappear. And if that land is disappearing, where are we going to grow crops to feed people? And as those ices melt, what's going to happen? The area over which polar bears and penguins and other things live, that is going to be reduced, and we're going to lose them. You see, nature has created a system in which everything depends on everything else. Things don't just stand out on their own uniquely. Whatever happens is happening anywhere else. This is not going to be affected. No, everything is affected. So Mauritius will disappear. Half of Bangladesh will disappear. That will kill millions. And yet, human beings, they're still arguing. How are we going to do this and so on? And this will affect my economy more than your economy, etc. Well, if all the countries drown under a deluge of water, which rushes down from North Pole and rushes up from South Pole and drowns your countries, well, that will sort out that argument, wouldn't it? About the impact on the economic development on the country, because the country will just go underwater. There'll be no country left about whose economic development you are so worried and arguing about. And why is it happening? I repeat again. Fatahunu amanatikum. Chapter 8, verse 27. You were appointed a guardian over them. And you were supposed to guard them. But you didn't. You misused them. You were dishonest. And now who is going to suffer? Are angels going to suffer? We will suffer. Human beings will suffer. And God says this in another place in the Holy Quran. That when, something bad happens, human beings complain and blame God and so on. But God says that this calamity that you're facing, that was brought to you through your own deeds. Why don't you accept that? That you are the ones responsible. But we don't. We carry on blaming this one and that one, and this country blaming America, and America blaming China, and China blaming India, and India blaming Brazil, and so it goes. But do you think this global sorry, do you believe that this global warming is going to leave any of these countries alone because they're blaming each other? No. What does the Holy Quran says about human beings? That we created a single species of human being. Homo sapiens, whatever passport they carry, a one single species. But we're acting as we were competing species. And in that, we are destroying this beautiful and wonderful planet. I noticed that we've slightly gone over the allocated time for our broadcast. So I'll stop here with the prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, goodbye.